Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the Opposition Preview. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. International football's done. None of that stuff until March. Now the good stuff is back. And yeah, the fixtures coming thick and fast in the build up to Christmas. And Chelsea back in action. Maresca returning to the King Power Stadium Saturday lunchtime. Big game for both teams. Both teams needing the points for different reasons. Leicester obviously sitting 15th in the table, few points outside the drop zone. You'd think fans would be happy, but there's a lot of stuff going on there at the moment. Main shirt sponsor gone bust. Players out long term with injuries. Key players things not going too well for Steve Cooper. Delighted to be joined by Tom from Leicester Fan TV, mate. Great to have you on the channel. Appreciate your time. Talk to me. What's the feeling around Leicester right now? Because as a newly promoted side, certainly from my point of view, if I was sitting 15th in the table in the middle of November outside the drop zone, you'd have to be pretty happy. But I get the feeling it's not really like that at Leicester.
It's definitely not all like that, let's put it that way, Charlie. There's a lot of disgruntledness between the fans and Cooper. It's not just over one or two games. It's to do with the 11 performances this season. And that's been the biggest problem and the biggest concern, that the performances have just not been good enough. Yes, we've picked up a couple of wins away at Southampton, at home to Bournemouth. But again, their games are easier. We could have lost even worse by, for honest. The performances have been very hit and miss, mainly that we've only turned up for 45 minutes either in the first or the second half. There's never been like a steady performance throughout a game, what's massively concerning. And I think the biggest thing for me is I don't see tactically how Cooper's trying to set us up to a point where the last 3 or 4 games he's actually gone back to Lorenzo ball. He's gone back to the old gaffer style of football to try and get results. What concerns me more, that he's gone back to Maresca's football to try and get us to win games. And that tells me that a manager is a bit clueless if he can't get his football, imprinted on the team. And there's just no style. There's no patterns of play. And the 3-0 defeat, away to Man United last time out, I was there. And as soon as the third goal hit the net, there was a good couple of thousand fans chanting Steve Cooper out at the end of during the game, and he's under pressure. He really is. The Forest connection doesn't do any favours for him at all. I'm one who'll always give a manager time and the opportunity to prove himself, but I've just not seen it. And some fans will say 11 games ain't long enough. For me, I look at the bigger picture. He's been here all pre-season, and still there's just no strategy of how he's trying to get this team to play yet.
Yeah, no, mate, I hear it. We've got to contrast it with Maresca, so you know him well, but he's come in, and what was lacking last season under Pochettino, not really a star, not really an identity, things that you're talking about not having under Cooper, we didn't really have them under Pochettino, and now Maresca's come in, and in a short space of time, there's an identity, there's a clear way of how you want to play, there's a clear style of play, and you can see that evidence on the pitch, and the team is improving, players are improving. And results are there. Yes, we've not won every game. And yes, there's a few games that we've been disappointing in, but you can see the progress that's being made. I get the feeling that Leicester is kind of like scratching your heads at where any progress is being made. And you reference some of the results. You have picked up some good results, but I've looked at a few of them and you think that's not really sustainable. It's teams going down to 10 minutes, last minute equalizers or last minute winners. And over a course of a season, you can't really rely on that to get you the points that you need to stay up. So, if I asked you what Leicester were this season, what would you say? Or do fans not really know what you are, and that's kind of the big problem?
That is the big problem. Last season you could see what we were. We were a team, as you guys are seeing now, we were a team that play out from the back. You play with an inverted fullback. Ricardo Pereira's that one for us. Obviously, he's now out for 4 months, so he's lost that option automatically and can't really play that game plan anymore because he's lost the main man who worked with Winks so well last year. And that's the biggest concern. We just do not know what we're trying to play. Sometimes it's play out from the back. But the problem is we muck it up too much in this league and there's too much pressure on you. Sometimes we go a bit more direct and we go to the wingers quickly. But again, we seem to shut ourselves off and we don't seem to create the chances. When we do get it wide and quick, it always seems to end up by coming back to our centre halves and you've lost the momentum. And that seems to be the biggest concern for most Leicester fans, I'd say, is we can't work out what we're trying to do when we get the ball on the pitch. It just seems very, well, we'll try something. If it doesn't work, we'll come back. Like I said, the actual times when we are started to play well is when he's actually resulted back to Enzo Maresca football. And that's with having Ricardo as the inverted fullback, playing with Winks against Forest in the first half. Definitely. It's probably the best we played all season. We lost that game 3-1 because our second half performance, once again, was another shocking performance. But like I said to me, it's scary that a manager has to go back to an old manager's tactics. And that's where I think the concern lies at the moment, that we don't know what we're doing. And you hit it nail on the head. The results against Southampton, especially, a 10-man team in the last 10 minutes, Ipswich away, down to 10 men, last 10 minutes, pressure builds and we get a result. But we ain't going to pick enough points up from these games carrying on like this. And this next set of 10 fixtures are really, really tough for us. We've got obviously you guys, we've got Man City and Liverpool over Christmas. We've obviously got Brighton, Brentford, Newcastle. The only games you look at, and you've got to be looking at, the big ones for us in this next 10 is Wolves and at home and West Ham at home in the space. Yeah. They could be crucial. And 2 losses, and like I said before, we know it will be dropped into relegation zone and you'll be scrapping. And sadly, by then, if that's the case, the fans will be even worse than they are now for me.
Yeah, no, you can so easily just fall into that trap, particularly when you've got a tough run of fixtures coming up, in the build-up to Christmas. The gap's not massive between you guys and the drop zone. So, yeah, it feels like there could be some difficult times coming. But, I mean, Maresca's coming back. Talk to me about Enzo. How's he going to be received on Saturday lunchtime? Because I've been to the King Power a number of times before as an away fan. Wesley Fofana does not get a good reception. Ben Chilwell never gets a good reception. I get the feeling it might be a little bit different with Maresca. How's he going to be received by Leicester fans? Or are there still some sections of the fan base that kind of resent him a little bit for maybe what they might describe as jumping ship?
I think there's always going to be that fan base in there. There's always going to be the ones who aren't going to be happy that he left and he didn't give it a go at Leicester in the Championship. But look, at the end of the day, when a club the size of Chelsea comes knocking, and at the time we thought we were going to possibly have a massive 10 points deduction before the season started, it was never going to be an easy job. I also think there was promises to Maresca what he was going to be able to spend and stuff. And again, it never happened last in January when he thought he was going to get funds to go and buy players. To a point we got a player through the door and we didn't even sign him in the end. It's things like that. It's Maresca, I think, got concerned about what he was going to be able to do in this transfer window. And I think, obviously, the points deduction, I think it was just, look, Chelsea have come in. It's a big club. I can't turn the opportunity down. On his reception, look, it'll be 50-50. From the poll I ran the other day, it was very much, some people don't really care. He's come back. There's some fans, me, I'll give him a clap. He did what his job was there to do, and that was get promoted. We played a brand of football that I liked. It didn't go down with some fans, and some of your fans will find it boring at times because it's a lot of passing, a lot of technical announce how you're going to get it through the final thirds. But there's no risk ball. With Enzo, it is all about that finer detail. And some fans got it at Leicester. I got it. Some fans didn't get it at Leicester and weren't, they wanted us to try and have more opportunity to shoot him. But he will get a mixed reception for me. I think there'll be more fans if we start to lose, we chanting his name than, if we are winning the game, if I'm honest. But yeah, I think he'll have his name sung by sections of the fans, but I think the other fans will be not bothered about him turning up. I think there'll be you're always going to get one or two who might boom. That's just for the sake of it. Obviously, the main focus for Leicester fans will always be on Fofana and Chilwell coming back. I mean, Chilwell doesn't play too much, but
no, he won't even be in the squad, mate. So he'll be at home. But Fofana will play.
Fofana will get absolutely annihilated, the same as he did last time down here with his song he got made for him.
Yeah, no, mate. It won't be difficult to tell when he's on the ball. Let's put it that way. Just briefly sticking with Maresca, are you surprised at how well he started at Chelsea, given how big the step up is, given that the club has been a bit of a mess, over the past couple of years? Very young squad, very inexperienced players. Are you surprised at how well he's done and how quickly he's managed to sort of put his stamp on things?
No, simply no. Because I saw it at Leicester, and that was in one pre-season game. Our first pre-season game when we played in Thailand, we played Liverpool. It was our first pre-season and build to the Championship season. And after one game, you could see what he was trying to do. You could see the inverted fullbacks. You could see the 2 number 8s of Ndidi, and I think you played KDH that day. So obviously with you boys now as the 2 number 8s, you could see Winks was the pivot with the Ricardo. You could see what he was trying to do. I think a lot of Leicester fans after one game were going, wow, this is a bit different to what we've seen the last few years under Rodgers, and especially with Dean Smith. It was very structured. It was we've got to try and stay up. But you could see what he was doing. So it doesn't surprise me that he's come in and hit the ground running. it doesn't surprise me that he's got his style onto your lads, because speaking to people I know at the training ground, Maresca's tactics were drilled into them every single day. There was no change of training. This is what we're going to do, and we're going to do it until we get it right. And when we get it wrong in a game, we'll go back and we'll do it again. And we're done. Apparently very repetitive. It's very similar training sessions, all about shape, all about style of play, all about getting the ball through the thirds quickly, but no risky balls. That's one thing I think you guys have probably seen. He doesn't seem to want any player to play a risky ball. If it's 50-50, it's not on. That seems to be the what style of play what we saw last year, and you guys have probably seen it now. It can get frustrating at times because you want that ball to go, but you know it won't go because he doesn't want it to go. So I'm not surprised. He obviously a KDH to go in there with him, what would have been a massive influence on your squad, because a lot of the players would have been straight away in his ear. How do you find him? How do you work him as a manager? You saw it there back in the last season, his rapport with the manager, the players, when they would celebrate in the manager's house at 2:30 in the morning after we've been promoted, and then, you know, the after parties and getting the title. So it doesn't surprise me. I think he's a people player, a players manager kind of thing. I think he'll put round players' arms when he needs to, but he'll give them a rollicking when he needs to. And Cole Palmer's another one who knows him, mate, and that's a massive grade on your squad, really, because Cole Palmer's ticking again, and you've got a manager who believed in him when he was playing for Man City.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think we're already seeing, you know, the togetherness in the squad is probably the best it's ever been. I mean, Pochettino deserves a little bit of credit for that. He did build some positive team morale there, but it's kind of gone on another level with Enzo. The players seem to like him. They're buying, you know, into his methods very quickly. And, you know, from what players have been saying about his training and stuff, as you rightly say, every time you hear players speaking about him, it's detail, detail, detail. You know, nothing gets left unturned. So yeah, look, I think we're definitely reaping the benefits of it. Just briefly before we get your thoughts on the game, mate. Dewsbury Hall, obviously left over the summer. Look, gutted for Leicester fans, of course. You know, one of your own, come through the ranks. I don't think anyone begrudged him going, as far as I could sort of make out. He's not really featured very much for us. He's struggling to make the matchday squad in the Premier League, which is kind of mad. I think he'll be in the squad for this one, given the situation. But first of all, thoughts on when he left, and secondly, are you surprised at how little he's featured for Chelsea?
Thoughts when they left the club didn't really option. I think they were cuffed that they needed the 30 million coming in, and obviously it cleared our potential points deduction, so we didn't really have an option that we had to sell him. Was I surprised he went Chelsea? No. Do I think he benefits your squad? Absolutely not. I think there's too many good players in front of him. I think he could be a good player. I think if he'd got this move 4 or 5 years ago when he was like 22, 23, it's a different scenario. He's now 25. He keeps talking about breaking into the England squad. It's not going to happen playing at Chelsea. I've already said, for me, Leicester should be knocking on Chelsea's door and saying, look, what we'll pay his wages. Can we have him back to the end of the season? If we stay up, we'll pay you we'll come to agreement to have him back for like 25, 30 million, what we paid, you paid for him, and we'll have him back, back at Leicester. Again, would he come back to Leicester? I think only if the club stayed in the Premier League, but for his opportunities, he wants to get playing in the England squad. He's got to be playing regular first team football in Europe and in the Premier League. In the Premier League at the moment, he's just not getting those opportunities. I think he's only played 5 games, and most of them have come in the Conference League games this season for you guys.
Yeah, mate, he's barely featured. Do you know what? I understand why he joined Chelsea. It's a step up. You know, he wants to go and test himself at the highest level, play with some top quality players. But the reality is, this is looking more like Danny Drinkwater than it is N'Golo Kante in terms of a transfer. It's early days, but it doesn't look great for him. And look, what he did last season was brilliant for Leicester. But when you compare it to what Drinkwater did, Drinkwater starred in a team that won the Premier League. Dewsbury Hall was doing stuff that, starred in a team that won the Championship. Look, I don't want to discredit what he's done, but there's a difference between what Drinkwater did to what Dewsbury Hall did. I like Dewsbury Hall, right? I think he should have more opportunities, but the reality is there are several players ahead of him that are comfortably better than him. And I can understand why he's come to Chelsea, but if he wants to be playing regular football and wants to get in the England squad, he's going to have to leave, because that's not going to happen at Chelsea. He would have been, for his career, he would have been better off going to Brighton. I understand you want to play for a big club and stuff, but he would have been better off joining Brighton, where he'd be playing week in, week out. And I tell you what, he possibly could have got called up by Carsley over someone like Angel Gomez, for example. But I've not given up on him, but it was just a signing that it just didn't make any sense on any levels whatsoever. But, mate, moving to the game. How are you feeling? Obviously, Ayew, I think, missing. Fatawu out with an ACL. Buonanotte, I think, injured. That's a lot of your threats missing. Confident?
Not at all. I think the news this morning, obviously, I'd already had rumours coming towards you that Adil Fatul had done his ACL, and I'd already, mindset had already gone that we'd lost probably one of our best attacking players, very young lad, but God, he's a threat when he goes forward with his pace and his trickery. And yes, consistency lets him down at time with beating his man, but you know there's something in there when you need it. It's a box of tricks, as I said. Obviously, for me, player of the season so far, Buonanotte from loan from Brighton is out, suspended after picking up his 5th yellow card against Man United in the last time. It's a massive blow for us because he has been the one creating things. Yeah, a bit sometimes sloppy around the box and likes to dribble out what cost us against Forest, but there's so much potential. You can see the kid's played 36 times last year for Brighton, and he's got that Premier League experience in him. He knows how this division is. He knows it's a tough league and you have to battle. Obviously, Stefan Mavididi, ex-Arsenal, Juventus player, will be available. But again, he's been very hit and miss this season, and I think he's finding it difficult to step up to the Premier League. Another one who's 25, time to start shining if you're going to be one of the players who makes it at this level of the opportunities he's had with Arsenal and Juventus beforehand. Obviously, our big one is Jamie Vardy. He has been out on the training pitch, and any team in any division or who face Leicester, you see Jamie Vardy's name, even at the ripe old age of 38, you still have that little thinking.
Oh, mate, he can still do it.
Jamie Vardy's on the pitch. He might not have the pace, but he knows where to be in around that box. And if Jamie plays on the weekend, it still gives you that little bit of confidence, but hopefully we can get a draw out the game or get a point from it. But yeah, it's not looking great when we've got so many injury suspensions going into the game. Like you say, Ricardo's now out for 4 months. Abdul's out for the rest of the season. I use 50-50 for the game at the weekend. It basically leaves you McAtee and Bobby Reed on the right wing at the moment, and Mavididi on the left wing. We are down to the bare bones, really. And like I said earlier, the biggest concern is now he's lost his pivot. He's lost that ability to play the Enzo ball unless he plays Hamza Chowdhury, who played there. Against you boys, that would be absolutely suicidal to be playing that. I generally think he'll set up like he's done for most of the season. He'll play Mads in goal. Obviously, you guys rumoured to be linked with Mads Hermansen, who's
anyone but Sanchez.
He's going to be a world-class keeper one day. That young man is. He's got all the abilities to go far. Justin will probably play right back. He's dropped Ockley, who we signed in the summer in the last few games, and gone back to the old guard of Faz and Vestergaard with Christensen at left back, who obviously with last season got to the Champions League spot with Belong. Yeah, so he's been playing left back for us. Again, steady Eddie, nothing spectacular from him. Then it's who plays in the middle of the park. Is it going to be Skips and Winks, the ex-Tottenham duo pair coming against Chelsea, and Diddy can play in that role as well. Then you got El Canus, who we signed from the summer from Belgian club. Again, another sighting young 19, 20-year-old, but again, looks very weak, very agile on the ball. Still got to get to grips with the ferocity of the Premier League. And then obviously we've got Ayew and Edwards, who come from Palace in the summer, one on loan and one permanent. Again, we haven't seen much of Edwards. He signed from Palace and he's only played a handful of games. Again, 3-0 down against Man U, and he played 4 minutes. So for some reason, he can't seem to get a sniff. What also worries you, but I always say, if you're going to have players from other clubs who are down the bottom, why are they getting rid of them? Why do they not want them around the squad?
Exactly.
They can't be that good. You know what I mean? So it's a tough game. I'll take a point now before we even kicked off.
Yeah, no, mate, I hear you. I mean, look, I don't want to go into this game overconfident, but I would expect us to get a win. I think we've got the quality to do it, we've got the players to do it, and I think we can exploit your weaknesses. But there's always that slight worry when it's a manager going back to a former club. It's the first game after an international break. It's a lunchtime kickoff and you're away from home. I'm not saying that's a leveler, but those things into the mix probably make this a little bit more of a difficult game than if it had just been your standards 3 p.m. on a Saturday in like March or something. Do you know what I mean? That kind of makes it a bit more tricky. But I mean, just last thing, mate, score prediction. What are you saying? Are you backing your boys to get anything, or do you think this is going to be a long afternoon?
I'd say my heart says a 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
I'd be quite happy with that. My head said we could get smashed at the weekend if we're not careful. We could get really turned over.
I mean, it could be the end for Cooper. That if the former gaffer comes back, you get stuffed 4 or 5. That could be curtains, really. But Yeah, I'm going to back us for a 3-1. I think we'll get the job done. I think it'll be closer than a lot of people think it is. I'm speaking to a lot of people about this, and people think Chelsea are just going to steamroller Leicester. I don't see that being the case. That it could happen, but I think it'll be a closer game than many expect. But I mean, Tom, thank you so much for your time, mate. Greatly appreciated. If people want to check out what you guys do, where should they go?
Come and follow us on Leicester Fan TV. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or if you want to follow me, it's Tom_LCFC TV. And yeah, check us all out. We do a lot of content during the week and always build it to the games and after the games with more post-match reviews.
Perfect. Guys, make sure you check it out. Channel will be tagged in the title. I'll link the social in the description. Go over there, show Leicester boys some love. And yeah, guys, I'll catch you again in another one soon.